In this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about the differences between the national and international versions of the NEBOSH General Certificate, because we do get asked quite often about this, and we recently received an email from somebody saying, I wanted to ask about NEBOSH IGC. I am currently based in the UK. I want to start my health and safety career. I was doing my research whether to do NEBOSH National General Certificate or International General Certificate. Some of the tutors are saying that if you want to start your career here meaning the UK, NEBOSH International General Certificate has no worth. So it's better to opt for NEBOSH National General Certificate. I want to know if this is actually the case. I'm asking this because in future I might move outside of the UK. So I need your guidance to help me make the right decision. Usually what we do is say to people, you know, if they're based in the UK, do the national version. If you're based outside of the UK, do the international version. But in this instance, obviously, this person is a little bit undecided because they're in the UK now, but then they might be going outside of the UK at a later stage. Okay, so what are the differences between the international version and the national version? The simple answer to that is there's not much difference. I would say they are about 90+% the same. Now, what you can do is get the qualification specification documents for both qualifications, download them from the NEBOSH website and compare them. But to save you the trouble of doing that, we've already done it. And what you can see here on the left hand side is if you were to make a table of the differences between the two qualifications, this is all it would be. All of the other learning outcomes are the same. The only areas where there's difference is in these two learning outcomes. Justify health and safety improvements using moral, financial and legal arguments. For the National General Certificate, it's explain how the law works and the consequences of non-compliance. But the international version, it's explain how health and safety is regulated and the consequences of non-compliance. And then the only other difference is learning outcome, advise on the main duties for health and safety in the workplace. For that learning outcome, the National General Certificate, it's summarised the main health and safety duties of employers and workers in the Health and Safety at Work Act and the Management of Health and Safety at Work regs. But for the International Certificate, it's summarised the main health and safety duties of different groups of people at work. So basically for the national, it's specific reference to UK health and safety legislation, but for the international, as you can see, it's general references to international health and safety duties and regulations, and that's it. That is the only difference. So not much really. The rest of it, you know, risk assessment, monitoring, health and safety management systems, auditing, all the rest of it, exactly the same. If you think it's going to be a problem when you're applying for certain jobs in the UK or internationally, is just leave it off your CV when you're listing it. So when you're listing it on your CV, don't put national or international, just list it as the NEBOSH General Certificate in Occupational Safety and Health, and that'll probably be fine. You won't get asked any further questions about it. But there is an opportunity here if you do get asked about it. Before we continue, if you're considering a move towards working in health and safety, it's absolutely essential that you're well prepared. That's why I want to take a quick second to let you know that you can study for the IOSH Managing Safely or the NEBOSH General Certificate, both national and international versions, online with us at Stockwell Safety. So if you're ready to take the first step towards a rewarding career in health and safety, see the links in the description to explore our industry-leading e-learning, IOSH and NEBOSH courses. I mean, I don't agree with what this person asked the question had said, that they'd spoken to tutors and saying that they don't think that the international certificate has any worth. I don't think that's necessarily true, but if you do happen to encounter somebody that has, you know, where it does matter to them whether it's national or international, there's a bit of an opportunity here, because what you can do, whichever qualification you sign up for and complete, whether it's the national or international, get that done, but then make a commitment to yourself that you'll become just as familiar with the parts that are not covered in that qualification that you did. So if you're doing the international certificate and you get that completed, make sure then that you become just as familiar with the Management of Health and Safety at Work regulations and the Health and Safety at Work Act and how the law works in the UK. Now you might be thinking, oh blimey, that is just more studying on top of the studying that I've already done. But it's basically the same. Like, whether you realise it or not, you'll already know most of it, because the international standards are that you'll be covering, you know, the rules and regulations and duties that apply internationally. They're basically, in terms of their substance, the same as the British or the UK Health and Safety at Work Act. So whether you realise it or not, you already kind of know it. And vice versa, if you do the UK version and you've passed that, then just make sure that if you're applying for a job internationally, that you're just as familiar with international way of enforcing the law. The reason that it's an opportunity is because a lot of job candidates won't do that. And by demonstrating that you've taken the initiative and you've been proactive and that you've gone the extra mile, so to speak, to become familiar with both the national and international versions of the qualification, you'll demonstrate to potential employers that you are a sort of proactive person that can get things done. They'll be impressed by that. Any hiring manager that knows what they're doing will be impressed by the proactivity of someone that will actually do that. And all you need to do is be honest and explain that in the interview and actually mean it. I mean, what I'm saying is, don't just say that you're familiar with the if you've done the international version, don't just say that you're familiar with the UK legislation, actually become familiar with the UK legislation. And like I've said, that is not as difficult as it sounds. It's pretty easy. So to sum up then, I don't think there's really any need to be overly concerned about which one is better than the other or which one has worth over the other. I'd say pick the one where you anticipate that you'll be spending most of your career. So if you're in the UK now, but you think that you're going to be moving internationally eventually, and then you'll be spending most of your career outside of the UK, do the international one. But don't sweat it too much. Just become familiar with the national version as well, using the internet, free resources online, and plug any knowledge gaps that may exist, and proceed that way. So hope that's been helpful. See you in the next video.